Hi, you're human, on a rock, flying through space, which sounds impressive, until you remember you used to be lunch, not king, not genius, not special. Just another animal, trying not to die. To understand how you went from scared meat to planet manager, we don't start with cities. We don't start with kings. We don't even start with tools. We start with stories. But first, what you were before them. For millions of years, humans were nothing special. You walked upright. Big deal. Birds fly. You had hands. So do monkeys. You had brains. Yeah, and they didn't help much. You lived in Africa. You feared lions. You feared snakes. You feared darkness. You feared other humans, and not just other tribes, other species. Because once there wasn't just you, there were many humans. Neanderthals in Europe, Denisovans in Asia, Erectus across continents, Floresiensis on islands. Different sizes, different strengths, different climates, same problem, don't get eaten. You didn't dominate, you avoided, you didn't rule, you ran. You didn't conquer, you hid. If a lion killed a giraffe, you didn't fight it. You waited. Lions ate, then hyenas, then jackals. Then, if you were lucky, you got bones, and inside those bones, marrow, fat, energy, gold. That's what you were, a scavenger with anxiety. Then you learned fire. Fire scared predators. Fire warmed nights. Fire lit caves. But fire's real magic was cooking. Raw food is expensive, hard to chew, hard to digest. Cooked food is cheap, easy to eat, easy to turn into energy. Cooking shrank guts, freed energy, fed brains. Brains grew. Big brains are expensive. They burn calories just by thinking. So evolution made a deal. Less muscle, more mind. Humans became thinkers, not fighters. Great idea, if you can use it. But for 2 million years, you didn't. No empires, no science, no art, no civilization. Just hunting, hiding, and hoping. Then, about 70,000 years ago, something snapped. Not bones, not muscles, minds. Same bodies, same brains. Different wiring. This is the cognitive revolution. Before this, humans could talk. Animals can talk too. Monkeys scream, eagle, run. Humans could say, lion, climb. But sapiens learned something new. They learned to talk about things that do not exist. Spirits, gods, tribes, rules, stories. They learned to lie, together. Not bad lies, useful lies. Before, you could only trust people you knew. Family, friends, small groups. After, you could trust strangers. Why? Because you both believed the same story. Our tribe is chosen. Our God is real. This land is sacred. These rules matter. None of it was physical. All of it was powerful. A chimp can trust maybe 40 individuals. A human can trust millions if they share a myth. This is the real upgrade. Not sharper teeth, not faster legs. Better stories. Stories scale. Neanderthals were strong, cold-proof, good hunters. But they worked in small groups. Sapiens worked in huge imaginary teams. Totems, flags, gods, laws. Neanderthals had reality. Sapiens had myths. Reality doesn't scale. Myths do. With stories, humans could organize armies, plan hunts, divide roles, punish traitors, reward heroes. You didn't need to know someone personally. You just needed to believe they believed what you believed. And once that happened, you spread. Africa, Middle East, Europe, Asia, Australia. Everywhere sapiens went, other humans disappeared. Sometimes by competition, sometimes by starvation, sometimes by violence, maybe genocide. No one knows exactly how. But one thing is clear, when sapiens arrived, others vanished. You didn't win because you were nicer, or smarter, or stronger. You won because you believed in invisible things together. Belief lets strangers fight for strangers, die for strangers, build for strangers. No animal does that. You do. And this power didn't stop at survival. It turned into art. Paintings on cave walls, animals that weren't real, humans with lion heads, hands saying, "I was here." It turned into religion. Spirits of forests, gods of storms, ancestors watching from the sky. It turned into rules. Don't eat this. Don't touch that. Don't sleep with them. Don't cross this line. Not because nature said so, but because stories did. Your brain became a myth factory, and once you could imagine things together, you could build things together. Villages, rituals, traditions, tribes. This is when you stopped being just an animal and became a storyteller with teeth. But stories don't just unite, they also divide. My God, your God. My land, your land. My people, your people. The same power that built tribes also built enemies. And soon, your biggest danger was no longer lions. It was other humans with better stories than yours. The cognitive revolution didn't make you good. It made you powerful. And power always wants more. Which brings us to the next mistake you made. Not fire, not language, not stories. The biggest trap you ever walked into. Farming. That's next. Part 2. The agricultural revolution. You would think that after conquering the planet with stories, humans would relax. Wrong. You made your first big mistake. Not war, not religion, not kings. Wheat. About 12,000 years ago, humans stopped wandering. They looked at grass and said, "What if we stay?" Bad idea. Very bad idea. Before farming, you were a hunter-gatherer. You ate many foods, meat, fruit, nuts, roots. You worked a few hours a day, then rested, then talked, then slept. You were poor but healthy. Your bones were strong. Your teeth were good. Your life was risky but balanced. Then you planted wheat. At first it looked smart. Food in one place, no more wandering, no more guessing. But wheat didn't serve you. You served wheat. You cleared forests, you dug canals, you broke your back. Also grass could grow. Your diet shrank. Mostly grain. Less protein, more disease. Villages got crowded. Crowds spread sickness. Sickness killed kids. You worked more hours for worse food and weaker bodies. So why didn't you quit? Because farming makes babies. More food equals more kids. More kids equals more workers. More workers equals more farms. Even if life got worse for individuals, it got better for the system. Systems don't care about you. You became part of a machine you couldn't stop. Then came property. This field is mine. That goat is mine. This house is mine. And once things are mine, others become not mine. Which means steal, fight, defend. War was born from fences. Then came hierarchy. Some people owned land. Others worked it. Some prayed. Others paid. Some ruled. Others obeyed. Most humans were not free. They were peasants, slaves, workers. They worked so someone else could live well. Why didn't they rebel? Stories. The king is chosen. The gods demand this. This is the natural order. Not true, but useful. Then came writing. Writing froze stories in time. Laws could outlive kings. Debts could follow families. Gods could speak on paper. Paper made power permanent. Then came cities. Cities meant crowds. Crowds meant disease. Disease meant death. But cities also meant armies, walls, taxes, control. Cities turned humans into numbers. You weren't a person, you were a taxpayer. You weren't a soul, you were labor. Then came money. Money is not metal, not paper, not numbers. Money is trust. You don't eat money. You don't wear money. You don't live in money. You believe in money. And because everyone else believes too, it works. A stranger gives you food for paper because he believes another stranger will take that paper later. That's not economics. That's mass hallucination. But a useful one. Money lets you trade with people you hate, don't know, and will never meet. Then came debt. Future labor, sold today. You worked not for food, but for numbers that promised food. Later, and slowly humans stopped working to live. They lived to work. Farming didn't free you, it trapped you, but it also built something big. Big enough to conquer continents, big enough to crush tribes, big enough to build empires. And that leads to the next phase, unification, when many stories try to become one story. That's next. In Part 3. Part 3. Unification of Humankind. Farming made people. People made villages. Villages made cities. And cities made a new problem. Too many strangers. You can't gossip about everyone. You can't know everyone. You can't trust everyone. So you invented bigger stories. Stories big enough to glue millions together. First came tribes, then cities, then kingdoms, then empires. Empires are not just land, they are ideas. A Roman in Britain and a Roman in Syria never met, but they believed they were the same people. Same law, same emperor, same story. That's power. Empires didn't just conquer bodies, they conquered minds, they spread language, law, money, religion. They told millions, you belong. Even when they didn't. Some empires ruled by fear, some by law, some by both. But all use stories. The emperor is divine. Our empire is eternal. We bring order. Not always true, but effective. Then came universal religions. Not our God, but everyone's God. Christianity, Islam, Buddhism. They didn't care about blood. They cared about belief. If you believed, you belonged. Religion turned strangers into brothers and enemies into sinners. Religion gave meaning to suffering. Your pain has a reason. Your death has a reward. Your obedience is holy. People will endure anything if they think it matters. Then came money, again, not just coins, but trust systems. Gold in China, silver in Rome, paper in Persia. Money didn't care what you believed. You could hate someone, kill their god, burn their city, and you'd still take their money. Money united people who hated each other. Then came law. Law is violence with good marketing. It says, obey or else. But it also says, everyone is equal except those who aren't. Law lets strangers predict each other. If you steal, you're punished. If you obey, you're protected. Not perfect, but stable. Religion told you why to live. Law told you how to behave. Money told you how to trade. 3 invisible systems running the world. And most humans never questioned them. They were born into them, raised by them, died for them. They thought, this is just how reality is. But it wasn't reality. It was agreement. Then came explorers, sailors, merchants, conquerors. Europeans crossed oceans, found new lands, killed old worlds. Not because they were brave, but because they were curious. They believed there was something unknown. And instead of fearing it, they chased it. They brought guns, germs, gods. Whole civilizations collapsed in front of a few ships. Not because they were weak, but because they were unprepared for strangers with better stories and deadlier tools. The world became one arena. Trade crossed continents. Ideas crossed oceans. Diseases crossed bodies. Humanity became one connected system. And now, what happens in one place can kill people on the other side of the planet. Unification didn't make peace. It made bigger wars. Not tribe versus tribe, but empire versus empire. World versus world. And the biggest weapon was no longer swords. It was knowledge, which leads to the final shift, the scientific revolution. The moment humans said, we don't know. And that changed everything. That's next. Part 4, the scientific revolution. For most of history, humans thought they knew everything. Gods explained storms. Spirits explained sickness. Myths explained life. If something went wrong, you prayed. If it didn't work, you prayed harder. Then, about 500 years ago, something strange happened. Humans said 3 dangerous words. We don't know. Not as weakness, but as power. Instead of guessing, they tested. Instead of praying, they measured. Instead of trusting tradition, they doubted. Science was born, not as a book, not as a god, as a method. Ask a question. Test it. Fail. Fix. Repeat. Power exploded. Ships crossed oceans. Maps got accurate. Guns beat swords. Cannons beat castles. Then came machines, steam, coal, engines. Muscles were replaced by metal. Factories replaced farms. Cities swallowed villages. Time became money. Life got faster, richer, lonelier. Then came electricity. Light at night, voices through wires, thoughts across oceans. Then came bombs. Tiny atoms turned into giant death. Because someone discovered mass is energy. And once you know that, you can end cities with equations. Then came computers. Machines that think, count, remember. Then came internet. Everyone connected. Everything shared, nothing forgotten. Then came AI. Machines that learn, predict, create. And now you face your biggest question. What are you becoming? You changed plants. You changed animals. You changed the planet. You may soon change yourself. Genes, brains, bodies. You started as scared meat. Now you design life. But your greatest power is still the same. Not machines, not money, not weapons. Stories. Money is a story. Nations are stories. Rights are stories. Companies are stories. Even you is partly a story. You are not just cells, you are the story you believe about yourself. So ask, who writes your story? Your parents? Your country? Your religion? Your job? Your phone? Because if someone controls your story, they control you. You didn't conquer the planet because you were chosen. You conquered it because you learned to believe in things that don't exist. Together. And now, the final question is, what story will you believe next? Because whatever it is, you'll probably die for it, work for it, build for it. Just like always, welcome to being human.